There's a question that has challenged ambitious minds for centuries. What is the fastest way to become rich? Not the most ethical, not the safest. The fastest. Most people spend their entire lives chasing illusions, wandering through the maze of hard work and saving. Yet, the truth has always been visible. The wealthy, those who understand the mechanics of power, have no desire to reveal it, because if you truly understood how the game works, you'd stop playing theirs and start building your own. Let's uncover that illusion. Wealth doesn't go to the smartest person in the room, nor to the one working the hardest. If intelligence or effort alone determined success, teachers, janitors, and construction workers would dominate the rich lists. But they don't, because the system doesn't reward virtue, it rewards power. And when power is used effectively, it generates money. Centuries ago, Machiavelli didn't write for the masses, he wrote for rulers. In his sharp and unapologetic words, he taught a principle few dare to accept. Wealth comes from control, not from kindness, not from labor, but control. Control of perception, resources, and people. He saw the world as it truly is, not as it should be. And he realized this. Money flows quickest to those who shape reality, not those who obey it. That's why the rise of the wealthy often seems sudden. One year, a man is invisible. The next, he's running empires and dining with kings. But his rise wasn't sudden. It was precise and strategic. He didn't stumble into success. He reshaped his world until it delivered him wealth. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are trapped by their own mindset. They believe safety equals prosperity. Work for decades, save modestly, retire modestly. But modesty never built empires. Boldness did. Machiavelli would reject the idea of slow wealth. He'd say, only the daring rise. The ladder to riches isn't climbed carefully. It's seized by those who leap while others hesitate. It's not luck, but a reward for courage and calculation. The rich act while others freeze. They don't play fair. They play to win. Most people remain poor because they sell the one thing that doesn't scale time. They trade hours for money, believing effort will eventually bring success. But effort without leverage is a trap. The janitor works harder. The CEO directs capital. One ends the day tired. The other ends it richer. Why? Because the CEO controls systems, people, and assets. The janitor's effort has no leverage. Machiavelli would point here and say, your poverty doesn't come from lack of effort, but from lack of position. Power creates wealth. And power, at its core, is the ability to make others act according to your vision. That's why perception outweighs truth. If people see you as powerful, they offer loyalty, time, and resources. You multiply these and rise. The fastest way to wealth is to stop behaving like a laborer and start positioning yourself as a leader. Stop trading effort. Start trading direction. Build systems. Build movements. Build attention. Every empire is built on the backs of followers. So the first step is clear. Stop following. If you want wealth quickly, leave environments that reward obedience and enter those that reward boldness. A job that pays for caution is a cage disguised as security. No matter how comfortable, it's still a trap. It steals your prime years, your youth, energy, and drive, only to return little in the end. Meanwhile, those who took early risks are now buying companies, property, and time because they moved while others stood still. And the world always rewards motion. To move fast, you need leverage. The ability to act once and earn 1,000 times. That's why ownership is crucial. Own a business, own digital assets, own systems of distribution, own something. Ownership builds equity, and equity compounds. Employees build empires for others, owners build their own. If you're still working like a laborer, understand this. You're building someone else's throne. Now, perception. It's the hidden engine of rapid wealth. The way people view you determines what they offer you. Influence attracts deals. Charisma draws investors. Certainty inspires followers. If people believe you're ascending, they give you their energy before you even ask. So, control your image. Control the story. Build a presence so magnetic that people pursue you before you speak. But none of this matters without boldness. You must act decisively. Most people drown in hesitation, waiting for guarantees. By the time they move, the opportunity is gone. The rich don't wait, they leap. And yes, sometimes they fall. But more often, they land on fortunes. Because in this world, speed beats perfection. A fast, imperfect step is stronger than a perfect one, never taken. When you move quickly, people will notice. They'll call you lucky, reckless, impulsive, but only because you broke the unspoken rule. Don't act without permission. Machiavelli never waited for permission. He acted, influenced, and conquered, which is why his words still echo today. He didn't play the game. He rewrote it. Here's where psychology comes in. People avoid bold action because they fear loss. But the greatest loss is an unlived life. If you freeze every time you feel fear, you surrender your future. For the bold, fear becomes fuel. It sharpens clarity and strengthens decision-making. Those who rise fastest aren't fearless. They simply move through fear. So how do you begin? You act. Choose one move you've been avoiding and execute it. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Send the pitch, start the brand, call the investor, step into the arena and claim attention. Wealth doesn't wait. It doesn't reward caution. It rewards decisiveness. And when you truly dare, everything shifts. People feel it. They're drawn to it. Opportunities multiply so quickly that it looks like luck, but it isn't. It's strategy, it's power, focused and applied. Once you embrace this mindset, the world stops feeling random. You realize wealth follows laws, and those laws bend to leverage. To move faster than the crowd, stop depending on effort and start using multipliers. These multipliers are all around you, but most can't see them because they're too busy grinding. The man working 10 hours a day can't look up. The man building systems can see the entire game and move 5 steps ahead. There are 4 multipliers: money, people, knowledge, and attention. Each, when mastered, can accelerate your rise beyond what effort alone could ever achieve. First, money. Most fear debt. The wealthy use it. The poor say, I can't afford to start. The rich ask, whose capital can I use to grow faster? Loans, partnerships, crowdfunding. These aren't crutches, they're catapults. Used wisely, they propel you years ahead, while others save for a foundation. You're already building towers with borrowed bricks. Next, people. Machiavelli knew rulers don't swing the sword themselves. They command others to act. Power multiplies through delegation. Learn to influence, persuade, and mobilize. A leader who inspires action can scale faster than any individual worker. Partners, employees, followers. These aren't costs, they're engines. Don't climb the ladder alone. Build the elevator and let others help you rise. Then, knowledge. Real leverage isn't in passive learning, but in asymmetrical knowledge. Knowing what others don't, acting before others see, spotting trends before they explode. Buy before the crowd, sell before panic. The world rewards those who move early. Reading isn't enough. Acting on insight while it's still invisible is. And finally, attention. The most powerful form of leverage today. If people know your name, they trust you. If they trust you, they buy, follow, and invest. One idea seen by millions is worth more than decades of unseen effort. Attention is currency. Those who command it can turn it into anything: sales, influence, capital, power. The fight for wealth is a fight for attention. Yet most do the opposite, working quietly, saving slowly, avoiding risk. Machiavelli would call that cowardice disguised as virtue. The man who insists on doing everything alone calls it pride, but it's really limitation. The rich move with alliances, not isolation. They ride waves of attention, not whispers of approval. They seek strength, not validation. People follow motion, not perfection. That's why you must act even when the path is unclear. While others wait for the map, build a road. That single decision creates momentum, and momentum attracts everything else. Ignore this truth, and the cost is heavy. You burn out, you work harder, while others rise faster. You become frustrated watching younger or less deserving people pass you by. But it's not about fairness, it's about strategy. Leverage always beats labor. So stop asking, how can I do this? And start asking, who can do this with me? Or what tool can make this faster? That mental shift changes everything. You move from builder to architect, from worker to strategist. Here's where things get real. When you begin to rise quickly, you'll attract resistance, jealousy, sabotage, betrayal. These are not signs of failure, they are signs of progress. Machiavelli warned that those in power will always face enemies, because power exposes others' weaknesses, their lack of courage, vision, and drive. Instead of rising themselves, they'll try to pull you down. Expect it, prepare for it, ignore it. Because if no one is trying to stop you, you're not moving fast enough. Now imagine what happens if you stay consistent. You've built leverage, you've acted boldly, you've faced resistance and endured. Where does that lead? You're no longer just wealthy, you're essential. People depend on you. They seek your approval, quote your words, and follow your ideas. You become a center of power within the system. And here's the twist. Wealth becomes automatic. Money comes to you not because you chase it, but because you embody control, stability, and opportunity. Yet that isn't the end, it's the beginning of real power. Because now you don't just own assets, you shape environments. You influence outcomes, you help decide how industries evolve, how cultures shift, and how empires rise. That's the level Machiavelli admired. Not the man counting coins, but the one who controls the mint. Not the man asking for favors, but the one who grants them. So, what does that mean for you? It means act today. Identify one area where you've been thinking too small. One opportunity you've delayed, one move you've avoided out of fear, and take it. Reach out to the investor, launch the idea, form the alliance, build the system, create the product. Take action now, because the world doesn't wait for the hesitant. Wealth doesn't reward the cautious. Opportunity doesn't slow down for your doubts. And history doesn't remember the careful. It remembers the bold. Those who see faster, move faster, and force the world to notice. This is the law of momentum. Those who move with force gain more force. Every bold action you take creates gravity. It attracts people, opportunities, and money toward you. Soon, your name becomes a magnet. The game flips. No longer are you chasing, you're being chased. No longer seeking, you're being sought. That shift from seeker to source is the true beginning of unstoppable wealth. Once you reach that stage, the rules change completely. You're no longer playing to survive or even to succeed. You're playing to rule. Every move you make sends ripples across your network, your market, even your rivals. When you speak, people listen. When you appear, the energy shifts. Why? Because you've built layers of leverage, stacked like weapons in the hands of a strategist. That's not luck or magic, it's Machiavellian mastery. And it belongs only to those who understand that speed, power, and positioning are the real currencies of wealth. But there's a higher level few ever reach. The truly wealthy, the untouchables, don't just use leverage, they create ecosystems. They don't just build products, They build platforms. They don't just sell, they become the gateways. Others must pass through. They stop playing roles and start writing scripts. That's how dynasties are built. That's how rulers rise. And that's how wealth transforms from something you earn into something you generate at will. Let's talk about strategic positioning. The poor build value from the outside in. They chase markets, trends, and permission. The rich, especially the fast movers, begin from the center. They place themselves where wealth already flows, within financial networks, distribution systems, and attention hubs. Once positioned, they extract value with minimal resistance. That's why bankers, brokers, and tech founders scale so rapidly. They didn't create wealth from nothing. They intercepted it midstream. Ask yourself, where does money naturally flow in your world? And how can you place yourself in that stream, not at the edge, but at the source? Maybe it's a new platform, a rising technology, a growing industry, or a cultural shift. Don't wait for an invitation. Step in early decisively before the crowd catches on. Because once the crowd arrives, profits shrink. The first mover takes the lion's share. Everyone else fights for what's left. This is why mastering timing is essential. The faster you can spot an emerging opportunity and act with conviction, the more wealth you capture before the rest even realize what's happening. This isn't gambling. It's strategic foresight. It's acting on signals before they become noise. While others debate, you execute. While they wait for certainty, you build dominance. That's how fortunes are made in silence and revealed with surprise. People say, where did they come from? They never saw the moves, only the outcome. That's the beauty of strategic speed. It's invisible until it's undeniable. And when you master this level of movement, something changes. You no longer chase opportunities. You become the opportunity. People pitch to you. They offer equity, partnerships, positions, because your presence alone adds value. That's when you stop being a player in someone else's game and start becoming the architect of your own. But here's where the game turns dangerous. The more power you accumulate, the more you threaten those who depend on the old order. They'll try to discredit, copy, or block you. They'll gossip, accuse, and conspire, not because you did anything wrong, but because you moved too fast for them to keep up. In their fear, they'll try to pull you back down. That's the Machiavellian reality. Power always creates enemies. The worst mistake you can make is slowing down to justify yourself to people who never understood the game. The lion doesn't negotiate with sheep. He moves, he roars, he conquers, and the world adjusts. So when they criticize your boldness, thank them. When they envy your rise, smile. Then they spread rumors. Let them. Because noise means motion. Resistance means progress. It's proof that you've moved beyond them. You've graduated from survival to dominance. The end goal isn't just money. It never was. It's power. Money is only the shadow of influence. And influence comes from leverage, amplified by speed and sustained through strategy. When you control attention, you control behavior. When you control perception, you control belief. When you control belief, you control action. And when you control action, you generate wealth. That's why the rich don't fear losing money. They can lose everything and rebuild quickly, because they never relied on income. They relied on influence. You must learn to do the same. Build systems that operate without you. Create networks that talk about you when you're not present. Develop brands so strong that they convert attention into revenue while you sleep. Don't work for the machine. Own it. And as you grow, remember, you're not here to compete. You're here to dominate. Competition is for those still seeking approval. Domination is for those who take command. Machiavelli never wrote about fair play. He wrote about effective play. He wrote about bending rules, shaping minds, and engineering outcomes. That's the mindset you must bring to every decision. So what's the final step? There isn't one. Because once you understand leverage, embrace boldness, and move faster than doubt, you don't stop. You become a force of motion. You evolve from person to movement, and movements don't ask. They act, they disrupt, they define the era. Now ask yourself, are you willing to be seen as dangerous? To act while others freeze? To move so fast that even your old self wouldn't recognize you? That's the standard. That's the cost. That's the path. The fastest way to wealth isn't hidden. It's just uncomfortable. It demands more than society ever told you to give. It requires you to think like a commander, not a follower, to act like a ruler, not a servant, to move like the world belongs to you, not because it does, but because you're willing to take it before anyone else does. So remember this: wealth flows not to the careful, not to the kind, not to the quiet, but to the bold, the fast, and the strategic. Be all three, and the world won't just give you riches, it will give you rule. Because in the end, fortune belongs to the bold, and the bold never wait.